Okay, so Daniel, do you want to maybe just start off and, talk a little bit about yourself, about your music, like just the basics that you want everyone to know about?
Sure. I started producing back end of 2015, early 2016. And basically, it kind of started with playing the violin. I started playing the violin in the fifth grade, progressed all the way through high school. And then around sophomore, junior year, I kind of had a shift in perspective where I thought I loved playing the violin and all that, but I also loved like creating music and the music aspect of that. And so I started exploring, taking all the music theory concepts from the violin and playing in an orchestra and started implementing that into just kind of production and just making music in general from scratch.
Okay, that's sick. I also grew up playing the violin too, so love to meet
Go.
another violin player. That's interesting. I feel like you don't really hear a lot of people saying that like their interest in like music or like music production stems from like, the more classical side of things. So do you think that's like influenced your sound a lot?
I definitely like using kind of violin string instruments or just live orchestral instruments when I can. I will say it doesn't happen that often. And I think the biggest thing that carried over was just the music theory knowledge. But I love me a good violin or stringed instrument in general. So if I can add it in, I will,
Yeah, for sure. And then like, what else would you say influences your sound or I guess your taste in music?
Definitely just, other music that I listen to. I was talking with Sam earlier. Definitely, I think electronic and hip hop, as well as maybe even some experimental, definitely influence just how I produce and kind of ideas and inspiration I come up with. I think it mostly stems from that. So if we think about it in tandem, I have the music theory and knowledge about just music in general from the violin and orchestra, marry that kind of idea with inspiration from other music and other artists that I listen to. And that's kind of where it comes from, I think.
Yeah. Who are some of those artists that you listen to or like that inspire you or your sound?
From the electronic standpoint, definitely Flume. I think Flume is
cool.
experimental, weird, wonky, and that's the kind of stuff I like. I think maybe even a little bit of Troy Boy too, if you know Troy Boy. He's a very underground.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. He's very cool and experimental, I think. But then I also listen to like a lot of indie stuff. Like think of the 1975. They have some cool production elements that I like to take from, as well as, I don't know, other artists, maybe Frank Ocean, stuff like that. There's little bits and pieces I kind of love and admire about every artist, and taking those and kind of coupling them all, merging them all together is cool.
Yeah, definitely like a little bit of everything. Yeah. That makes sense. And then, so what has it been like, I guess, like breaking into the music industry for you?
It's been cool. I've said it from the start. Sam can kind of quote me on this one too. I said it from the start that music has always been a hobby for me, kind of like nothing that I wanted to pursue very, very seriously, but definitely have that legitimate aspect of it when I do decide to release music. And so I just released an album called Home Tapes, which is just a collection of tracks that I was working on back in 2019 and before. Basically, the story around that was.
Well, wait, real quick. Where can the people listening at home? Where can they stream and consume Home Tapes?
Basically, any platform. I'd say the biggest three are Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music.
And is that Daniel Hult on those platforms?
Daniel Hult, Home Tapes. There's a nice house as the cover art.
We just want to make sure the listeners know exactly where to go find it.
Shameless self-plug.
I'll make sure to put that in where to find it. Don't worry.
Definitely.
I got you.
Yeah, but back in 2019, my computer crashed during like a Windows update, and I lost like half of the files on my computer, including my music files. So that was a very sad time for me. But then, now I decided I was looking through some of them, and despite them not being fully finished, mastered, fully mixed, anything you want to put it, rough around the edges, so to say, I liked working on them, and my experience working on them, they bring me like nostalgia, like just good vibes. So I decided to couple them all into a playlist and then release them just for the hell of it.
Yeah, so I guess I really want to hear more about Home Tapes. It sounds like a super cool project. So do you have like how would you describe that as a project?
Honestly, as cliche as it sounds, I want it to sound like, and I think it sounds like, you're just at home, like some nostalgia of being at home, growing up experiences and all that. You get a good nostalgic vibe from all that when you think about your past experiences. So I think I tried to couple the songs together in a way where it gives off that vibe and impression. And I think I achieved it to a certain extent. So it's mostly just good vibes and just kind of enjoying life.
Feel good music.
Feel good music. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What would be like the setting that you would recommend people like listen to home tapes in for like optimal experience? Like where should I have it playing?
Honestly, I thought about it from just the perspective of listening to it with headphones, especially given the timing of the release. You know, we're all in quarantine. People are driving less, I would say, and more just so chilling at home with their headphones on and doing work or doing something like that, vegging a little bit. So with that in mind, I would definitely recommend listening to it with headphones. You can hear all the little details and all that kind of stuff.
Ear candy.
Ear candy, exactly. And so, yeah, I would say headphones because it also suits the setting when you're just chilling at home and vegging or doing maybe some little minor work.
Well, I have a follow-up question to that one. I thought that's a really great question. I think it's so interesting how, you know, music sounds different on different like platforms, headphones, car, whatever. But my question is, if I could bring home tapes to like a deserted island type of thing where it's like one place in the world where all I can listen to is home tapes.
Yeah.
What place is that? Is it like London? Is it New York? Is it LA? Is it the Swiss Alps? Is it Africa? Where is it? I'm curious. Where would you take this tape and be like, this is where it should be listened to?
For me personally, I would say my home. Honestly, back where I grew up.
Yeah.
Just because that's kind of the vibe I was going for, and the vibe I think it fits.
Cool. Yeah, that's a great answer.
For other people, I think maybe their homes as well.
I was gonna say, do you feel like the themes of the project, you know, especially that you experienced while making it, do you feel like those themes, you know, the home feel, the white picket fence, that I'm safe because I'm in a safe place, I'm comfortable at home. Everyone's comfortable at home.
Right.
Do you feel like that can resonate with the people who listen to this album, being that basically if I'm listening to this album in a New York City apartment, or if I'm listening to this album in, you know, some little house in Tel Aviv, Israel, like, am I going to be able to, you know, do you feel like the listener feels those vibes regardless of where they are, as long as they're at home, if that makes sense? Do you feel that?
Yeah.
I
actually haven't thought about that. I would hope so, is my short answer to that one.
Yeah.
I mean, people define home completely differently, you know? So kind of suiting your own definition of home and being in your own home environment, I think is the ideal place to listen to. But that's a good question.
Absolutely. Well, that comes at a good time too, because I think right now everyone's, you know, been stuck at home for the past year, and so everyone's kind of been reflecting on what home means to them, you know, if it's like a physical place or people or what that means. So I feel like that goes hand in hand with a lot of what's been going on in the world. So it's a cool time to release a project like that.
Yeah. I would honestly say it was more of an impulse decision. I mean, Sam was there the entire time. I think it was just one day I wasn't saying anything, and then the next day I just said, hey, I'm going to drop him out. And
I'll speak from my experiences working with Daniel here and working with other artists that we've worked with through collab and Ann Arbor Records. Like, everyone's got their process, and, you know, like, I think we're in this business of always being one song away, but it just sounds like someone like yourself, Daniel, with, you know, kind of the intentions and aspirations you have for your music, where, you know, you're not saying it's necessarily your focused career path. I mean, you're a Ross business major, marketing analytics and strategics, if I'm not mistaken. I think I got that right.
Yeah.
That's a full plate, but then you're also making music where it's like, wow, like, you know, this is something that, you know, whether it's a hobby or not, is something that you have a passion for. And that passion is a reflection. And that's what makes music great, because it's about passion.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you know, the fact that you're sitting here in your Ann Arbor apartment able to make that project or work on that project and then upload that project, I think it's a true testament to, you know, the internet era and the fact that we're in this age where, like, look at what we're surrounded by in this room, at least. Like, you can record a song right now, mix and master and put it up on Spotify and Apple Music tomorrow and be heard by, if you use the right platforms like TikTok, you'd be heard by millions of people in a matter of days, weeks, months. So, you know, I think it's just cool that an artist like yourself is out here at Michigan. I wouldn't say Ann Arbor is really the most crazy music scene, but I mean, maybe we could use that as a segue to quickly, and Javon, I don't know how much time you have left, but just a quick segue into kind of, just so, you know, we're Ann Arbor Records. We like to talk about Michigan. We want to hear what you think about the music scene on campus. I know as a member of MMBC and as someone who works for you on your team, I think the people listening would love to hear a little bit about MMBC, your role in it, your vision for what it is, what it could be, what it should be going forward, because I believe that Ann Arbor Records wants to pave the path
Sure.
for music in this city, and we got Detroit and Motown down the street. So if you could touch on that and kind of elaborate on maybe what you think of being here after 4 years and like what music in this city means to you.
Sure. Just broadly speaking, I mean, people here are so damn creative, really speaking, like really though. Everyone's creative and everyone kind of, as you were saying, Joe, has their own avenue, own direction that they kind of take. And so you think of artists like Wolfpack. Wolfpack was in Ann Arbor,
Yep.
and they fit a specific vibe. But then I also hear artists in Ann Arbor doing rap, hip hop, electronic, and everything in between.
Yeah.
So it's literally a melting pot of just creativity and different genres of music, which is amazing to say.
Is it decentralized though? Is there a reason why all of these big pieces haven't really seemed to come together yet? I know we have the Spring Fest, and I think MNBC does what they can. But do you feel like there's a way to kind of bring someone, a group like Wolfpack, who basically did it on their own? Do you think there's a way to incorporate people and groups and bands like that into the scene in a way that makes it more of a network rather than maybe just kind of separate dots on a chart that have no correlation? Right. Because I think that's what's holding Ann Arbor back. And like as someone who's been here for 4 years, you've seen a live performance, COVID. Is it something where you feel like, could Ann Arbor Records, trying to bring students on campus here to make their own music and then put it on platforms and try to monetize it and build their own brands, do you think that's something that has longevity here in Ann Arbor? Do you think there's enough talent?
I think so. I think going back to your question about this decentralized kind of format or structure of different artists in Ann Arbor, I think that's definitely part of the case, and bringing them together, marrying them together, so to say, I think is definitely possible. I can't give specific ideas, but I think Ann Arbor Records or A2 Records is definitely a concept that can merge them all together.
Right.
And create just like an organization to allow, people to share music within Ann Arbor, artists to share their work, collaborate and all that. I mean, you think about it now, it's kind of amazing and a beautiful thing to see how just easily accessible music is nowadays. Everyone has streaming platforms, and streaming platforms have gotten so unbelievably popular. You have access to millions upon millions of songs at your fingertips.
I literally watch this. I open my phone, I just swipe down, and then look, there's a song just ready to be played.
Exactly. It's at your fingertips.
And then boom, and then it's playing. My point is that it's quite literally at our fingertips. So that you're absolutely correct. By the way, that was my song.
So Daniel, do you think that being at Michigan and in Ann Arbor has influenced, what you're doing with music in any way? Either people or just the place or the environment?
David, Ethan, MNBC, anyone like that ring a bell with that question?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
There's some really talented.
It's okay if the answer is no too. I'm just wondering what the influence of a place like Ann Arbor or Michigan, would have on your sound or your music.
Yeah, I think immediately my answer would be no, but at the same time, I think I'd be lying if it was a full no. I think there's definitely been influence, and especially over my 4 years here, I've made a decent amount of friends who also are producers or artists or anything in between, and kind of having their ideas bounce off me and vice versa, I think has definitely influenced me in that sense. Plus, whenever I create a new song, I mean, those are kind of the first people I want to show, the new song too, and catering almost to that audience in a sense, and catering to the UMich student body audience as a whole. Because if you think about it, if I release a song, basically considering it as a hobby, the only kind of promotion I would do is on social media. The people following me on social media are primarily UMich students and high school students and childhood friends. And so that's kind of the audience if you think about it. Obviously you want to have kind of the general broader everyone audience as in mind, but I also think at the end of the day, I'm going to make what I want to make, and that's pretty much it. I really don't care how it's received in some sense, given that it is a hobby.
Power to the artist.
But at the same time, I do want the people that I show to like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so I know you have a couple things in the works right now. I'd love to hear where you're heading after home tapes, if the music that you're creating now is in a different direction or just kind of, building up on what you've already done.
Yeah, so I was almost toying with the idea of actually dropping a little EP, afterwards, after home tapes, called Lo-Fi Tapes. I made a few lo-fi beats just one summer, getting in the lo-fi vibe. So I thought that'd be a cool afterwards second EP kind of, so to say.
Is it gonna be the Daniel Hult follow-up?
Could be, yeah.
Could be.
And yeah, and I also have I've been working on a lot of weird experimental stuff. I primarily have one song where I took I can't even tell you what language it is, but a foreign language vocal sample that I just thought was kind of cool, had good flow, and then just ran with it. But I think I've also frankly stopped. I took a little hiatus on producing for a bit because now I'm also working on editing podcasts for different people. I used to edit podcasts for the Michigan Business Beat, which is a podcast kind of radio station back in East Lansing, as well as I'm editing podcasts for my professor who is starting a consulting brand. So kind of taking those skills and what would you say, expanding them elsewhere. But definitely the origins start with music production. That's what I'll love to the end of time, you know.
Okay, awesome. And then super quickly, like last question, just to wrap it up. If you could tell people to listen to one of your songs that like represents you or what you've done so far, which one would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. Either the first or second song on Home Tapes.
Or Weak Signal.
Or Weak Signal, that's another one. Because Weak Signal has a vibe. It's an unreleased track right now that I plan to release sometime soon. And it is a completely different vibe and mindset shift from Home Tapes. But within Home Tapes, the first song, Who's on First, or the second song, November 2017.
Yeah, you're a good sampler. You pull cool samples for sure. Like, it's a good, good producers and good samples. So.
Yeah, I honestly didn't realize until I listened to the project as a whole that there was a lot of samples in there. I use a lot of samples.
Really, the technique works.
But like Daniel, if there's anything that you want to say that we didn't cover.
Yeah, you want to shout out your socials.
Shout out my social. I mean, Instagram is
Hult,
Hult.
Family or anything.
Shout out to the mom, the dad, the sister.
Yeah.
Love you all.
And I'd like to thank absolutely no one. No.
Yeah. No. But yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, it was super nice meeting you and talking to you. And I'll like try and get this edited and get it out. But yeah, thanks for like squeezing it in. I know it was like last minute, but I'm glad we can make it happen.
This was cool. This was really easy.
Yeah, no, this is good.
Easy.